Hello, and happy Easter to people who are in the West. It's not Easter in Orthodox countries until next week, and why is that? It's all to do with Pope Gregory the 13th and his institution of a thing called the Gregorian calendar in 1582. Now, up to that point, as a result of Julius Caesar's changes to the calendar, people have been observing the Julian calendar, which began on Lady Day, which is the 25th of March, which once all the modifications took place, particularly in England in 1752, England was late in taking on the Gregorian calendar in 1752, and then further revisions in 1800. Lady Day, the beginning of the formal year, moved from the 25th of March to the 6th of April, and of course that is oddly the date for the beginning of the tax year, so that explains that. Anyway, the Julian calendar, once that was ditched, the problem with the Julian calendar was that it was slipping, and the reason for that was that the calculation was 11 minutes out. So every I think about every 128 years, there was an extra day added to the calendar. Every 128 years, the calendar slipped one day. So the date of Easter was gradually slipping in the Western Church, and Pope Gregory the 13th thought that he could make a difference, which he did. The point was, this calendar was not adopted in the UK until 1752, sometime after the rest of the world. Why? Because, of course, it had been invented by the Catholic Pope in Rome. The Gregorian calendar, for example, wasn't adopted in Turkey until 1926. And I think it was only adopted in Saudi Arabia about 2 or 3 years ago. Today, there are 13 days difference between the Julian calendar and the Gregorian calendar, which explains why Christmas, for example, in Russia and Serbia and Romania is celebrated on a different day to Christmas in the rest of the world. It explains why Easter, which is calculated with complex calculation, but why the Easter celebrations in the West can be different from the Easter celebrations in the East, often by more than a month. This year, there's only a week's difference. 1 or 2 years, the two celebrations coincide. It's very, very unusual. Now, there's 1 or 2 rather entertaining facts. There's a painting by William Hogarth called "Give Us Back Our 11 Days," because when the British adopted the Gregorian calendar, they did so in September 1752, and they decided in a very British way that the Wednesday, the 2nd of September 1752, would be followed by Thursday, the 14th of September 1752. And in fact, those lost days became one of the main subjects of the general election 2 years later. On this year, I expect the main subject will be Rwanda and Partygate that will dominate the local elections at the beginning of May. Now, there's a man called William Willett. William Willett of Endon. William Willett of Endon wagered that he could dance for 12 days and 12 nights without stopping. And he began on the evening of the 2nd of September, 1752, and just after midnight he stopped dancing. I think he was doing a sort of jig around the village, and when the calendar had moved to the 14th of September, and he duly collected a large return on the bets that had been made. So that's at least the story. Is anything else I need to say about that? No, nothing else except for Happy Easter this week, and Happy Easter Christos Anesti for next week, when my Greek friends and Russian friends and Serbian friends and Ukrainian friends will all be celebrating Easter, one hopes.